Properties and methods of string class, and today we are going to discuss some more methods about string. Okay. The next method that we are going to discuss is index of. The next method is index of. Just index of will take a character or string. Index of will take a character or a string, and it will return the index of that particular character sequence. The index of method will take a character or a string and will return the index of that particular character sequence. Okay. Now what is the index of B inside the string? What is the index of B? 1. So the output will be 1. The value is 1. So the index of method will take a string or a character, even it may take a character, and it will return the index of that particular character or string. It's the same. Okay, and now what is the value? Error? In single quotes only single character is allowed. Now what is the value? 1. Okay, if we give a character sequence, multiple characters, then the whole character sequence will be verified in the string. Now do we have a character sequence BC1? Yes, we have BC1. So it will give the index of the first character. What is the first character in the sequence? B. What is the index of B? 1. So it will give the index of first character in the sequence. So even now the value is 1. Okay, like that. Now what is the value? What is the value? If a matching a character or a character sequence is not found, if a matching character or character sequence is not found, then the index of method will return a negative value. Most probably it will return -1, but we cannot assure -1, it will be a negative value. Okay? The index of method will return a negative value if the desired character or character sequence is not found in the string. If the desired character or the character sequence is not found in the string, then it will give a negative value. No? Six. Let's see. What's the value? 0. Okay. If we don't give any character in the index of, by default it will be 0. It did not give -1, but it's not desirable. Okay, it's not a practical example, but this may happen. Some of the interviewers will be asking this kind of questions. What happens? If we give blank in the index of, it will give 0 as the output. Now, what is the index of I? Even if we have multiple occurrences of the same character sequence, the index of method will return the first occurred index. Okay? Even though there are multiple occurrences of the same character sequence, even though there are multiple occurrences of the same character sequence, the index of method will return the index of the first occurrence. Okay? Now, there is another method, last index of. Last index of method will give you the last occurrence of the character sequence. Index of will give you the first occurrence. Last index of will give you the last occurrence of the character sequence in the string. So what is the value? In that case, 7. The index of the last index of B is obviously 7. Okay. Like that, the index of and last index of will work. Okay. And just there is another method named char at. What is the character at specific index? Now what is the character printed? See, just because I plus 1 means the next index. Okay, next index means, see, we are retrieving the last index of B. It will give you this index. Okay, the character at next index means C. So, the value is C. And there is another method to char array. Which will convert the string into a character array, into an array of characters. Just like this, we can convert a string into character array, and we can do anything with the character array. Okay, just I am printing each and every character in the array. Using a for loop, I am printing each and every character in the array. I equal to 0, I less than character array dot length, I plus plus, and in each and every iteration I am printing the character array. Just I am iterating the array and I am printing the characters. I is already defined. Yeah. I is already there. So it's printing each and every character in the string. And the next thing is, okay, to split the string using some delimiter. Okay, splitting the string using some delimiter. Let's consider that from somewhere, okay, let's consider like there is a field where the user enters names separated by commas. Then how we can come to know what are the names that are entered by the user? In some field in the browser, what happens when the user enters some names separated by commas? But at last what we need to do in the application? We need to remove the commas and we need to extract what are the names. Now, how we can split a string based on a delimiter? Okay. In order to split, understood right the requirement? We need to extract Ravi, Srinath, Prasad, Rajesh from this. In order to do that, okay, what we can do to achieve this? Okay. There are two ways of achieving this. The first way is using a string tokenizer. Just we create an object to string tokenizer. The first one is the string and second one is the delimiter. First one is the actual string and the second one is the delimiter. Okay. First, let me create the object to string tokenizer. What is giving? It could not able to find the symbol string tokenizer. Is it giving in red color? Is it giving in red color? Yes or no? Okay, it's not displayed, right? It's giving in red color here. Okay, that means it's a class present in the library. But string tokenizer is not a class which is there in the java.lang package. All the library classes except java.lang package should be imported. All the library classes except java.lang package members should be imported. So let me import. String tokenizer will be there in java.lang util package. So other than java.lang entities, all the library entities should be imported. So what I am doing is just I am importing java.util.string tokenizer. Now let me try to compile. Okay, it was compiled. Okay, now it was compiled just because I have imported string tokenizer, which is there from the util package. Now once tokenizer is there, we go with the while loop. There is a method has more tokens. And there is a method next token. The next token method will return a string. Just the string tokenizer has two methods, has more tokens and next token. The has more tokens will return a boolean. And the next token will return the next token after the delimiter. Will return the next token after the delimiter.
What's the purpose of has more tokens?
Has more tokens, I'll show you how it has happened and I'll explain. Okay? Let me try to compile this. See, just the string is being split using a comma as a delimiter. Now what this has more tokens and what the string tokenizer will do means, the string tokenizer will maintain a pointer kind of reference. Let's consider there are 4 tokens in this string. If you use comma as a delimiter, we have 4 tokens. One is Ravi, one is Srinath, these are 4 tokens in the string. By using comma as a delimiter. By default, the string tokenizer pointer will be before the first token. There will be a string tokenizer pointer which will be there before the first token. Okay. Now, what has more tokens will do? It will verify whether there are still some tokens or not. Do we have tokens here? Yes or no? Yes, there are 4 tokens, right? Tokens means the splitted strings. Okay? The splitted strings have tokens. Do we have any tokens here? Yes. There are still 4 tokens. When it is true, then it will come into the value. What the next token will remains, it will do 2 things. First thing, it will return the next token. What is the next token? Okay. It will return the main, and it will move the tokenizer point to the next position. And while will be iterated until the condition becomes false, and it will come to the next string. Okay? And it has more tokens. Do we have any tokens up to this point? Yes. What is the next token? Here. And the pointer will be pointing to the next. Again, it has more tokens, next token. That's all. Again, has more tokens, true. Okay? What is the next token? Minus. And the pointer will be here. Now, has more tokens true or not? False. So, it will come out from the loop. Like this, we can split a string using comma as a. Understand? This is how we can use a string tokenizer to split a string based on a delimiter. Once we have this string, we can do anything with the string. Fine? No. This is one of the way to split a string. Now, if you write this while loop again, now what happens? Are the tokens printed twice or only once?
Nothing is there now after
Hmm?
like goes to the null.
Hmm.
And then afterwards there is no more.
Now for the next while loop, will the tokenizer point come to the first position? It will not come to the first position. The tokenizer point, once it goes to the last position, again it will not come to the first position. So even though we have two while loops here, the tokens will be printed only once. Even though we have two while loops, the tokens will be printed only once, just because of the first while loop. What happened? The string tokenizer pointer is at the last position. Okay, it will need not go to the first position for the second value. For the second value, we will check it has more tokens. It will become false in the first iteration. So only once the content is printed. Only once the content is printed. The string tokenizer pointer will not move to the first position for the successive executions. Okay. Another way of tokenizing a string is using split method. The written type of split method is a string array. Okay, this is how we can split a string based on a delimiter. This is another way of splitting a string based on delimiter using the split method of the string. Using split method of the string. The split method of the string will give you a string array. The split method of the string will return a string array which contains the splitted strings. Which contains the splitted strings. It does the same. Less than or equal to. I equal to 0. Sorry, it's not less than or equal to. It's just less than. Okay, just index should be less than length, not less than or equal to. So it's doing the same thing. Both split as well as string tokenizer, they are doing the same thing. Now, which one do you think it is better? To go for split or string tokenizer? Split or string tokenizer? Which one do you think it is better to go for? Either split or string tokenizer? Just see again. Are both working in the same way? Output is same. It's not the desired. See, the intention of development is not just getting the output. The way of getting the output also will be matter.
This is string token is very good extra array. Why is the extra array not also?
Huh?
But if it is in the last use,
Mm-hmm.
actually for this program, we are taking the extra array.
Mm.
So extra memory we want. But if you use the
See, extra array I have kept it for your convenience. I can make it like this, right? Just for your understanding, it's not an extra array. Array will be there, but just that is a reference. See, even for this, even if I keep like this, array will be there, but reference will not be there. That's it. Here we are not creating array. This is just a reference to that array. Because of reference, memories will not be increased. Okay? So anyhow, if you use this reference or not, array will be created. Okay?
we are using 2 minutes. But while using tokenizer, we are using 2 minutes. But whereas for the statement only we can use 1 minute.
It's not a valid reason. Any other? Just think of which one do you think it is better?
While using statement, we don't need to import it.
Don't think in the flexibility of writing the code. Think in the context of performance of the application. Okay, if you think in the context of flexibility of writing the code, you are a worse developer. As a developer, you should think in the context of application performance. Even it takes more time to develop, it should perform better. Think in that way.
So the next token method is some definite token, and after it, if you want to execute some logic like if you want to exit out of the loop, then directly you can use it. So it's more convenient than that. Like ABC. After B, I want to exit. After B, I want to copy some other things which you go.
Performance will be performance will also split management will be better.
Why do you think that?
Because tokenizer is involved in 2 steps. Checking whether the
That's a great answer. If you want to get the tokens using tokenizer, if there are 10 tokens, 10 conditions should be executed. But are we executing those conditions in case of split? Are we executing such kind of conditions in split? No. Even if you have 100 tokens or 1000 tokens, it will take the same. It will take the same time. But if you go for string tokenizer, if you have 1000 tokens, 1000 times the value should be executed and 1000 times the condition should be verified. So which one will give better performance? Split. Obviously, split. To overcome with the difficulties of string tokenizer, in JDK 1.4 version, split method was introduced. Previous to 1.4, previous to 1.4, string tokenizer was being used to tokenize the strings. But right from 1.4 version, split method is being used to tokenize the strings. To overcome such difficulties with string tokenizer, split method was introduced in the version 1.4.
Sir, in the meanwhile, we have the null character. The fields are up to null or lost.
Null character. Where you can introduce null character?
As you are anywhere in the middle.
See, anywhere in the middle, even if you give null, let's consider like, are we supposed to give like this? Even if you give like this, it will consider it as a string. Null, null, n character, u character, l and l. It is a string, right? Null character cannot exist in double quotes. Null cannot exist in double quotes, right? Even if we give null like this, okay, it will not consider the keyword null. It will consider this as a string whose content is null. Okay? And the next method is substring. Substring method will take two integer values. The first one is from index and the second one is to index. First one is from index and the second one is to index. And it will give the child string from the whole. There can be a big string. What substring will do? It will cut a part of the parent string and it will return a child string. Okay? Just it will return a child string from the whole string. The substring method is used to get some child string from the whole based on the index. If you want to get a child string from the whole string based on some index, then we go for substring. No. What's the output? Huh? Huh? Why Srinath? Null Prasad? What is the value of STR1? This is the value of STR1. Okay? From this, what's the zeroth index? R. First index A. Like this, just consider that as an index. First one is from index. Second one is to index. Now the first one and the second one. Okay? In the substring method, the first integer is from index. Second integer is to index. Now, if that is the case, what is the value? Ravi? Comma also. Or just Ravi? What is why you are thinking AV?
That will exclude 0 and 4 index.
What's the value at 0th index here?
The
R. First index 0 to 4th index. See, it will split the string. Okay, it will give a substring of the whole. How it will give a substring means it will take these indexes 0, 4. 0 is the from index, 4 is the to index. What is the index here? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, from 0th index, 0 is the from index and 4 is the to index. If 0 is the from index and 4 is the to index, what it will print? From first index to, sorry, from index to index. Then what is the value printed? Ravi? Comma. But in any indexing mechanism in Java, okay, the to index is exclusive. From index is inclusive. To index is exclusive. In any indexing mechanism in Java, from index is inclusive. The from index is inclusive. To index is exclusive. From index is included, but to index is excluded. Even if you give 0, 4, okay, it will give a substring from 0th index to 4 minus 1. 0 to 4 minus 1 means 0 to 3. That means 0 is R, 1 is A, 2 is B, 3 is I. So the output will be Ravi. The last index or the to index will be exclusive. In any indexing mechanism in Java, the to index will be exclusive, but from index will be inclusive. Let me comment all these things. Okay. The value is Ravi, just because to index is exclusive. You know what happens? Except H. Except H. What do you think except H?
That is the upper bound. That is equal to the length of the.
So what?
That is we are taking as the upper bound. So that will be exclusive.
See, what is the length? Let's consider that. Let's take a sample string. Rather than taking a big string, let's take a sample string. Now what do you think? What is the value printed? RAB or RABI? Huh? Why do you think RAB?
Because string length is the.
What is the length of string? The from index is 0. To index is?
3.
To index is not 3. What is the length of the string?
Yes.
4. So 4 minus 1? 3. 0 to 3. 0 to 3 means the whole string will be printed. Understood? So 2 index is made exclusive. Okay, to index is exclusive. It will print the whole string. Now, what happens? It's a index out of bounds exception. Just because only the maximum possible index is 3, but we are giving the length as we are giving the two index as 5. Even the two index is exclusive. 5 minus 1 is 4. The maximum possible index is 3, but we are trying to fetch the fourth index, which is index out of bounds exception, and this exception is a string index out of bounds exception. String index out of bounds exception. Both array index out of bounds exception and string index out of bounds exception are subclasses to index out of bounds exception. We discussed that in the exceptions. Both array index out of bounds exception, string index out of bounds exception, these two are subclasses to a class named index out of bounds exception. This is a class index out of bounds exception. This is a superclass. Okay? Both array index out of bounds exception and string index out of bounds exception, these two are subclasses to index out of bounds exception. So in case of strings, string index out of bounds exception will come. We don't give proper indexes. Even if we give -1, a negative value in the index, then also it will give the same. Then also it will give the same. Just because -1 is out of index. Okay? str1. So -1 is out of index, so it is given string index out of bounds exception. Understood? Now, what happens? What's the output? See, in C, if we tell error means everything is fine, everything is error. But in Java, everything is not error. Don't tell the error again and again. Everything is not error in Java. What happens? What happens if the from index is greater than to index? It's also same exception. Okay. What's giving? String index out of bounds exception. It is a same. Just because the from index is greater than to index. From index should never be greater than to index. If that is the case, the same exception will occur. It's not an error, but it's a string out of bounds, string index out of bounds exception. From index can be same or can be less than the to index, but it should not be greater than the to index. In that case, it will give the same exception. Now, what is the output? Hmm? A, B? A, that's it. A, B? A, B, I? I, N, D? I, N. Is there any other answer? Hmm? What do you think? Compile the mirror? Why do you think it is a compile the mirror? Why do you think it is a compile the mirror? Just speak out. Huh? Last index? What is the return type of last index? Last index of? Is it a string? Is the return type of last index of is it a string? What the method last index of returns? What last index of method returns? Integer. Now, is the integer valid as a second argument? Is a integer valid as a second argument? Is the integer valid as a 2 index? Yes or no? No. Will it give a compile time error? It will not give a compile time error. Just because the first one is integer and second one is last index of. The return type of last index of is integer. So, that is also integer. There is no compile time error. Now, just what is the thing is, from index is 1 and to index is last index of D. What is the last index of D? It's not, yes, it's 5. 1 comma 5. But the indexes will be considered to 5 minus 1, 4. 1 to 4. A, B, I, N. This is the output. Okay? Understood? Okay? Like that, we need to do. Now, definitely it will be out of bounds exception. Just because the first one is 1 and the second one is, most probably it will be negative value minus 1. Just because there is no string exists in this, the content is array vi and the array. In that, this x doesn't exist. If it doesn't exist, either index of or last index of will return a negative value. But either from index or to index is a negative value, obviously it will be a string index out of bounds exception. Understood? Understood? So this will be a string index out of bounds exception. Okay? Like that, okay, the things will be. And understood, right? How the substring will behave, and even the substring method will create, okay, a new string. Now what is the output? Sorry? Why? The substring is generated, but the generated substring is not assigned to any reference. Here, the substring will be generated. What is the generated substring? The generated substring will be this will be generated substring, but the generated substring was not referred by str1. Still str1 will be referring to the parent string only. So the output will be Ravindra itself. But if you make it to refer, now it will bring the substring content. Okay? Like that, for any operation on string, a new string object is created, and new string object will be referred by the existing reference only if we assign that. Okay, if you want to get the value, we should assign that. Then only we can get the value. And another one is replace method. Just we can replace one character with another character. Character or even a string. VI will be replaced with BI. Just we can replace one character sequence with another character sequence. Okay? So, we can replace one character sequence with another character sequence. That's possible. So, now it is not Ravindra, it's Rabindra. Okay? Just VI is being replaced by PI. Okay? So, one character sequence can be replaced by another character sequence using a replace method. But now, will it give array vi in the array or array bi in the array as the output? The first one itself. Just because it will give the first one itself, array bi itself. Just because the replace string, whenever we try to change the content of a string, a new string is created. But we are not trying to refer the str1 with a new string. So, what happens? Still the content is array bi itself. But if you want to make it to refer the new string, just we need to assign that. Only by assigning, the latest value will be refined. Okay? And I have ABCXY thrice. And I want to replace XY with PQ. Then what is the value? ABCPQ? Okay. Okay. The replace method will replace all the occurrences of a string. The replace method will replace all the occurrences of a string, particular character sequence. Replace method will replace all the occurrences of a particular character sequence. And there are methods like I should replace. Shall I remove this?
Reply is not there.
It will not replace.
Sir, can I replace XY with PQ? We need two characters
XY?
with PQ.
Obviously, we can replace with any string with any other string. There is no limit for the number of characters to be replaced. Any string can be replaced with any other string. Okay? What's the question that you have asked?
The string is not there. The first string is not there.
If the string is not there, then it will not replace. That's it. It will not give any exception. The string doesn't exist in the base string, it will not replace. That's it. It will not give any exception. And the next one is to uppercase. This it will convert all the characters into uppercase. Okay? And the same thing can be done with even two lowercase also. Two uppercase and two lowercase. Again, we can convert uppercase to lowercase or lowercase to uppercase. It's possible. Okay? Two uppercase and two lowercase. First it will print uppercase and then it will print lowercase. Okay? This is how we can convert from uppercase to lowercase and lowercase to uppercase. Then okay, these are some basics about the string class. Okay, the next thing that we are going to discuss is about string buffer. Just we are going to discuss about string buffer. Why a string buffer is used means, now if we create a string object, can we change the content of the existing string object? Yes or no? No. Okay, it cannot change the content of the existing string object. When we try to change the content of the existing string object, what happens? It will not allow you. It will try to create a new string object with the changed content. But if we have some multi-charactered content which is frequently changing, if we have a multi-charactered content which is frequently changing, now is it advisable to go for a string? See, if we change the string for 50 times, 50 objects will be created and 50 objects will be detached. So what happens means the load will be increased. If a character content is frequently changing, it will never be advisable to go for a string to represent that multi-character content. Okay, for that case we use string buffer. Okay, for that purpose we use string buffer. String buffer will be used to represent a multi-character content which is frequently changing. To represent a multi-character content which is frequently changing, we use string buffer. Just let me show you how the string buffer will be. All the basic methods of string will be available even in the string buffer. Up to now we have discussed methods about the string. All these methods will be available even in the string buffer. In addition to these methods, some other methods will be available in string buffer. All the methods we have discussed up to now, trim or length or uppercase or lowercase or substring or anything, all the methods will be available even in the string buffer. But in addition to those methods of string, okay, string buffer has some more methods. Now, let me show you about string buffer. Okay, it's a new string buffer of some string. Let's consider like ABC. Okay, now this I am opening D. In case of string, it is concat. In case of string buffer, the method is append. To append some character sequence at the end, in case of string, it is concat method. In case of string buffer, it is append. Just we create a new string buffer and we are appending some string at the end. What happens? ABC, D. Let me show you the difference of string and string buffer here itself. Understood what we have done? We have done the same operation using string and string buffer. Okay? But what thing happens in case of string? The existing object is not changed. The existing object is not changed. But in case of string buffer, the existing object itself change. If we try to change the content of string buffer, a new string buffer object will not be created. Existing string buffer object will be modified. And we can assign string constants to a string object, but we cannot assign string constant to a string buffer. This is not possible. This is not possible. We should create a string buffer object only using new operator. We cannot assign string constants to string buffer. It's not possible. Okay? It's not possible to assign string constants to string buffer. We should create a new string buffer object only. That's the only way to create a string buffer object. We cannot assign constant strings to string buffer references. So this will give you a compile time error. Just because on the right hand side it is a string constant, but on the left hand side it is a string buffer. If you want to create an object to string buffer, definitely we should use a new string buffer object. But that is not required for a string. A string can be assigned with a string constant. Okay, and there are some methods, okay, to append some characters in the middle. Can we append characters in the middle for a string? Can we append characters in the middle for a string? We can replace characters, but can we append the characters in the middle? I told clearly that we can only append the characters at the end using concat. But for a string we cannot append the characters in the middle. Okay? But for string buffer we can append characters in the middle. Okay? Using a method insert. We can insert some character sequences in the middle of a string buffer. It's possible. We can insert some character sequences in the middle of a string buffer. Now at the index 1, DU will be inserted. So, see here. It is this not required. Let me remove this. Let's compile. Go to the classes. Execute it. ADE BC. Just because at the first index we are inserting D. So DE will be inserted at the first index. What is the first index? This is the first index, right? So ADE-B. Okay? So like that it will be. We can insert or remove characters, okay, at any index. I'm not sure whether delete method is available. Let me see. There is another method, delete char at. We can delete the character at a specific index. Okay? We can delete a character at a specific index. Let me see whether this is available. Yes. We can delete the characters based on indexes in a string buffer. We can delete the characters based on indexes. Here also the same from and to index rule will apply. From is inclusive, to is exclusive. We can use delete method to delete the characters based on indexes. So, now for all this operation, is string buffer creating a new string buffer object for each and every change, or is it modifying the existing object itself? It's modifying the existing object. Okay, so that for a string content which is frequently changing, okay, in general we go for string buffer. Okay, we can remove or add or append or do anything with the string buffer. Okay, so how we can convert a string buffer into a string means we cannot assign a string buffer to a string. This is not possible. Okay, we cannot assign string buffer to a string or a string to a string buffer. It's not possible. Okay, if you want to convert the string buffer into a string, just we need to execute the toString method of a string buffer. If you want to convert a string buffer into a string, then we need to execute the toString method of the string buffer. And string buffer is immutable or immutable object? String buffer, is it a mutable or immutable object? String buffer is a mutable object. And sync buffer is a synchronized object. String buffer is a synchronized object. What is synchronization? How we can achieve synchronization? We will discuss them in multi-threading. But right now, make it a note like string buffer is a synchronized object. And string buffer object is thread safe. String buffer object is thread safe. Thread safe. What will this? What is thread safe and how we can achieve thread safe activities? We'll discuss in depth while discussing multi-threading. But just make it a note like string buffer is thread safe. Okay. Whenever there is thread safe activity, there will be security, but performance will be very less. Okay. String buffer will give less performance when compared to other string entities. String buffer will give less performance and high security. String buffer will give less performance and high security when compared to other string entities. Okay, we have another string related entity which is string builder. The string builder will almost act like a string buffer. String builder almost will behave like a string buffer, except that string buffer is synchronized object, but string builder is not synchronized object. String buffer is synchronized, but string builder is not synchronized. String buffer is thread safe, but string builder is not thread safe. String buffer is thread safe, but string builder is not thread safe. String buffer will give less performance and more security, whereas string builder is opposite. Performance will be better when compared to string buffer. Security will be less in case of string builder. In case of string buffer, performance will be less, security will be more. In case of string builder, performance will be more, security will be less. But both string buffer and string builder are used in a case where the string content is frequently changing. Either it is string buffer or string builder, we use them only when the string content is frequently changing. If the string content is not changing, then we use string only. Ultimately, string will give a best performance, but if in a case that the content is frequently changing, okay, either string buffer or string builder are better. Okay. Now, very frequent interview question is, what is the difference between string and string buffer? A string and string builder, a string buffer and a string builder. There is not only the differences between string and string buffer. The same differences will be there, almost will be there for string and string builder also. Just first, note down the differences between string and string buffer. Just you yourself prepare the differences. What are the differences between string and string buffer? Then, what's the first difference? The first difference between string and string buffer should be mutability. String is a immutable object, string buffer is a mutable object. Both string and string buffer and string builder, all these three are final classes. Okay, all these three are final classes. And the second thing is, okay, when we go for string is when the character content is not frequently changing, then we go for string. If the character content is frequently changing, then we go for string buffer. And in case of string, we have constant pool and non-constant pool. But in case of string buffer, such kind of things are not there. Okay? And using string buffer, we can insert or remove characters in the middle. But in case of string, we cannot do that. And string is not synchronized, string is not thread safe. But string buffer is synchronized and thread safe. Okay? String will give better performance when compared to string buffer. Now, how can you compare, like, what is the differences between string and string builder? String builder? Almost the same differences, okay, except synchronized and thread safe. Except synchronized and thread safe, all are the same. What are the differences between string buffer and string builder? Synchronized, thread safe, security, performance. These are the four criteria. String buffer is synchronized, string builder is not. String buffer is thread safe, string builder is not. String builder will give better performance, string buffer will give better security. Okay? And this will complete the concept of strings. In the next class tomorrow, we'll start with wrapper classes. Okay?